Hello, guys, and welcome back to Starting from Scratch. This will be our official first video.
Yep,
The one we put out, about a week or two ago, that was
two
just like
weeks.
a introductory to who we are and the purpose of our podcast. So we're excited about this one because this one gets into the
Yippee!
meat of what we are about. So we hope you guys enjoy it
Yes.
today.
So we got some questions that we're gonna start off with.
Oh, we're just hopping right into it, huh?
Yep, not wasting no time. So our first question. So I'm gonna ask you, and
Okay.
then I'll answer the question too. We'll do it like that.
Okay.
So the first question is, what is a childhood lesson that shaped you?
A lesson, referring to something that I learned as a child?
Yeah.
Okay. A childhood lesson that shaped me would mean that I would have had to,
I don't
um
like it. Let's stop it.
wow.
Let's do another question. I don't really like that one.
Because I didn't learn nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't either.
But
This.
that could have been good though, because a lot of people didn't learn nothing.
Yeah. No, I don't like that one.
Okay. So
Uh.
we're gonna start all over again.
Nope. I'm keeping that.
How we keeping it?
What you mean?
We still
Yeah.
recording?
We didn't like that question because it don't make sense. And I'm the one
I
that
didn't come
created
up
the
with the
question.
question. There you go.
So I didn't like that one. That one is too a lesson that I don't know. I didn't like it.
And I feel bad because I really didn't know how to answer it.
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know how to answer it. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next.
Next.
So the next one is, what is something we wish families talked about more openly?
Oh God.
I can talk about this all
Um,
day.
man, yeah, that's deep. Something that I wish families talked about more, and communicated more. Um, I would say probably a lack of love
Hmm.
in the household, even just not, when I say a lack of love, I mean, some people think that love is, you just, it's just something that you do. It's not really spoken per
Hmm.
se. Um,
It's just
but
understood.
yeah, yes, that's what I was getting at. Love is something that is understood. You go to work, you take care of your family, you provide, you do all those things, but then there's the element of love that a lot of people are missing. And I feel like that's something that my children missed out on, was that element of love. And one reason why I feel like you guys missed out on that is because I wasn't able to love myself.
Hmm.
I wasn't brought up in a household where love was spoken.
Hmm.
It was just something that, well, it was unspoken. You didn't really go around saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. Because I literally do not remember my parents telling me that they loved me when I was a kid. Like that was not something that, before you went to bed at night, well, I love you, or before you went out the school, the door to school, I love you. And that's something that I hear you and you telling your sisters and siblings all the time. But I think that that was something that you picked up.
I did for my cousin Shay.
Yeah, because we didn't do
Shout out
that.
to my cousin.
Yeah,
But
we
yeah,
we did not. I did not grow up doing that, so I didn't instill that in y'all. But now that is something that we do a lot before we hang up the phone. With I love you. But
even though it's uncomfortable, because
yes,
Tiana, girl, I be having to chew her out
yeah. I mean, it
because it's
is. It is
uncomfortable to
because it's not
say.
something that you're used to doing.
Yeah.
And that can feel uncomfortable when it's something that you're not used to. But love should not be, where it's unspoken. Love should be something that is sensed, is felt. It. When a child enters into their home, the first thing that they should feel is love. The environment should be full of love.
Yeah.
And so because love is such an unspoken word, especially if I'm just being honest, the black family
Yeah.
has a hard time.
I just
And
wonder where that come
I
from.
don't
Like,
know. I don't know where that stems from. And I kind of want to say that it's generational.
yeah.
But I can't be 1000% on that. But it has to do, I think it may have a lot to deal with just black families in general not growing up, like, just even it's stemming from slavery, having your families taken away from you,
Yeah.
just living in that constant survival mode, could probably even be playing a role in why um we don't really use the
Talk.
word. Yeah,
Yeah, the way we don't talk. We don't
yeah,
even talk. I mean, so talking, I mean, to say I love you. that's talking, and so it's just like, well, you know, I love you because you got a roof over your head,
But I
and
think
I
it makes a
feed you.
difference. I think love is ultimate, in a childhood. I think if a child is loved properly,
Yeah,
I feel like they will grow up more secure within themselves. When a child is not loved properly, or well, you're because you feel like, well, they should have just known. They seen all I did from it. That's not
well,
how
and
you.
the things that you did is something you're supposed to do. You the
Yes,
parent.
right. And
I
that's
didn't ask to
that's
be
something that
there.
we talked about a while back, was that
Yeah,
we tell that parents will say stuff like, well, if I'm putting a roof over your head, that mean I love you. Well, you're supposed to be putting a roof over their head. You gave
no,
birth to that child.
literally.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
that child didn't ask to be here.
yeah,
These kids are not asking to be here, whether it was through consensual or through a mistake. However, the person comes about, it's still not their fault. They
yeah,
didn't ask to be here. And so for me, I really do wish that love was one of the things that, families sit down and, kind of like expressed
yeah.
a lot more, so that way, you know, you didn't have a world of people who are going out here looking for love everywhere else.
Well, and then too, just I think when you don't have that at home, you do go and seek it
You
from
do.
other people.
You absolutely do. And for me, it was like I didn't know that love was what I was looking for. And that's the sad thing.
Yeah,
I didn't know that it was love that was missing in my life. I didn't know what it was. And I know that it wasn't just that, it was a mixture of, other little traumas that were kind of like mixed in there. But I sought attention, and I always got the wrong attention. But
yeah,
it's something that I craved, this attention that I shouldn't have been craving, but I was craving it because I wasn't getting it.
yeah.
And no shade to my parents, because I don't think that they were even brought up. I know for a fact my mom wasn't. That childhood is something,
Yeah,
another
she didn't have a
story.
mother, no
Yeah.
father.
So
Like,
that my mom's upbringing was, my mom was a genuine loving person, as well as she knew how to be.
yeah,
But when it came to expressing her love or speaking her love, that was something that wasn't,
yeah,
done a lot. I think in her later years before she passed, we would say I love you a lot more,
yeah,
but that wasn't something that we spoke. That wasn't something that we said. It's I love you. And I hate that we went all of those years without speaking it. I even hate it with my children, that's not something that I made sure that they grew up hearing from me every day. Is that how much I love them. It just wasn't something that I grew up knowing. And then on top of that, I'm not a vulnerable person, so that's even hard. If you're not a person that's very vulnerable, then that can even be hard to express love as well.
yeah,
So,
yeah. No, I agree. Well, I'll say for me, what I wish more families talked about more openly is what they're going through.
mm,
So because
that's
I
good.
didn't, we see y'all going through stuff, but we don't understand because y'all not
Yeah.
really talking to us about it. You trying to hide it or shield it
Hmm.
from us. And it's like, well, then we grow up, go through the same thing, and then we don't know how to talk about
So,
it.
what age do you feel like is appropriate for that conversation to take place, though? Because as a child, can your mind even process what has been said to them?
I think when they get a little bit older, like I'll say like fat baby age, like
Hmm.
10. Well, she's about to be 10, but
Yeah.
I say about that age, about 9 or 9 ish,
Hmm.
fourth grade, fifth grade. Because I don't think you have to give them the full extent of what's going on, but to be like, you know, talk to us about why you even got in the position in the first place. So
Mm.
maybe we can understand that. Because then, if not, we're thinking it's all your fault,
Hmm.
and not realizing, well, technically, I mean, it kind of is, but like you didn't know no better to
Yeah.
do something different. So I wish that we understood more of like what our parents are going through, so then we can understand that maybe if you're not wanting to talk or something like that, that ain't got nothing to do with us. Because I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of times we learn to internalize it from
Mm.
that point
That is
because
so true.
of that.
Yeah.
So
And to add to that, because I'm when you were talking about that, my brain just started going, because I started thinking about when my mom passed, how I went through that grieving process, and everything about my relationship with my grandchildren changed.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Everything about that relationship changed. I became, more. To me, I feel like I became meaner. I felt like I was so hurt and angry about my mom passing the way she did, to where I took it out on those who were close to me. And
hmm,
so I don't think that neither one of them understood the dynamic
yeah,
of why I was, doing that, or why my behavior seemed to have changed overnight.
Yeah.
Because I feel like my behavior did change overnight, and not meaningfully. I didn't, wasn't doing it, but that's just I was internalizing so much with her, with the grief, that I wasn't able to express to her or to them or to any of y'all what was going on with me internally. I just knew, I felt it. I knew that, there was something going on the inside of me that I couldn't explain,
Mhm.
but and it was deep, and it hurt.
Mhm.
So I changed tremendously, after that took place, and for her not to understand, or for you guys, or anybody that I was dealing with not to understand it, because I never voiced it. You know what I mean? I think that played a tremendous part in, maybe some, separation, or feeling like I can't speak to her right now, or even watching my moods, or when can I say something to her? Is she gonna blow up?
Yeah.
So that's really good. I like that.
Yeah, because I think that it teaches us how to show up for other people, how to show up for ourselves.
Mm,
If we feel like you want to talk about what's going on
mm,
with you, like we
mm,
don't know. Like I remember last year on Greenie's death anniversary, I remember talking to you saying like, I took off because I was wanting to spend time with you, and then I remember I came over and you had an attitude, but I didn't know.
mm,
Of course, I'm thinking it's because of Greenie, but then I'm like, when we just talked and she was fine, like I
mm,
don't know what happened,
mm.
and so then it shifted my mood because it
Yeah.
made me feel I internalized it instead
Mm-hmm.
of like talking about it because I felt like I couldn't.
Yeah.
And then before I was ended up saying I was just gonna go home, I remember you saying you was telling Sadia that you watched a video that morning when you woke up and it,
Mm.
it made you angry.
Oh,
And I was like,
okay.
dang, I wish she would have told me that because now I'm in the
Yeah.
mood and now I
Yeah.
can't shake my mood because I
Yeah.
don't internalize it,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's the one thing about communication, on all levels. It's just, kind of trying to dig, find out, get to the root of what may be happening with a person. If you know them and you know that that's not generally something that, or their behavior is off or whatever, having conversation, I think it's healing.
Yeah.
That's why I really, want this podcast to come forth, because just having conversations are healing. I remember when I was going through the whole thing of dealing with childhood traumas, just me writing out letters to people who I felt like had wronged me, had hurt me, just getting it out on paper, I felt like helped deal with a lot of things that I didn't know what was going on with me mentally.
Mhm.
And I feel like just being able to put it on paper literally helped me to release some things, or even helped me process some things that I'd never processed before as a child or as an adult. So communication is so vital in relationships, because we can always assume
Yeah.
something,
And be wrong.
and be wrong. You never know what a person is dealing with internally.
That's
And
why I said it's so important. I felt like as a child to
it
understand that
is.
because I
Even,
watched you,
yeah, I
and
mean, teaching them communication skills at a very young age is important,
that's why I do feel like Fat Baby struggles with that a little bit because I feel like we have tried to raise her very different than how we was raised.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, I do feel like sometimes it is hard for her to communicate things because I think she needs to see more of that
Hmm.
communication.
Yeah. And
Even
that's
and
something that I
even when we're
struggled with.
angry, even
Yeah.
when we're upset, be like, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry
Hmm.
at the situation, or
Hmm.
somebody made me mad earlier, or something, or I'm struggling financially or something. So it's
Yeah.
not you.
Yeah,
It's
and I
that
struggle with
problem.
that. I ain't gonna lie. I really do, and that's something that I really want to work on, because I don't want, communication to be a barrier.
Yeah.
And even with me taking this, getting my degree in communications, like I feel like communication is very important, and so just being able to have open dialogue, healthy dialogue
Yeah.
between, even especially in family households, it shouldn't always be rah rah rah. Everybody's always on the offense or the defense. You know what I mean? It should not be like that. Life is not a game. You have to be able to listen,
Yeah.
and then not only listen, hear.
Yeah.
Because the Bible says what? Be quick to hear and slow to speak.
Yeah.
But sometimes we hear it and then we just fly off. We
Yeah.
just
Instead of really trying to hear what somebody is saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're not hearing, then you're not really understanding. You're not processing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it may take you a minute to process what you heard. But in that moment, take it for what it is. let it settle, do whatever you need to do in order to be able to have healthy conversations
Yeah.
because it's important.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, so the next question would be, how would what you wish that families talked about, which was love, how would that have changed you if it happened growing up?
Oh, wow. I feel like if the love had been something that was of top tier or making sure was priority in our household period, I feel like it would have shaped all of us.
Hmm.
And
I feel like we wouldn't have been here.
probably not.
Yeah, I feel like we wouldn't have been
I
here.
really do feel like you probably wouldn't, because what you have to understand is I don't consider any of my children mistakes. You know what I mean? God don't create no mistakes. So I, was in situations that weren't healthy, that were mistakes. I shouldn't have been in some of the relationships that I was in, but I don't consider my children mistakes. But at that time of me dealing with your father and, um, Tiana's father or whoever, it literally was me. It wasn't me dealing with them. It was a hurt little girl. You know what I mean? Like I was not even present in any of I think the only relationship that I can honestly say that I might have been somewhat or semi-present in was with Queen's them dad.
Hmm.
My last three, their dad. I feel like I might have been somewhat present in that, but I wasn't present in those relationships. You know what I'm saying? That was some disturbed, hurt little girl reacting to, you know, um, I guess reacting to their approach, or however, because even when it comes to Tiana's dad, honestly was money.
Hmm.
We grew up not having anything, and this man was offering me money that I'd never seen before. You know what I mean? So for me, with him, it was money. With your father, on the other hand, that was a child looking for a father.
Yeah.
And so it's just like different dynamics of my life where, you know how you say you got me at one stage, and everybody born got me at different stages. You say how Jamila got me at a different stage because I was a lot older when I had her. And that's how I felt like I was in relationships. Just different stages of me came forth, but none of those relationships were good. None of those relationships were healthy.
Hmm.
So had love been like a priority, had love been instilled, had love been felt, had love been known, conversations probably would have been had earlier. I
Yeah.
probably would have went to my parents earlier and told them some of the things that I had experienced in life
Yeah.
that I, you know, did not share with them
Because they
until I
could have
was
got you
older.
help too.
Yeah,
You know,
it
they
could have
would
got
have.
me help, or it could have got somebody killed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, I don't know. I'll say it like this: God knew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because when I began to let my parents know some of the things that I had endured as a child, both gave me this stare that I've never, like, I can't even explain the stare even to this day. Like it to me was like a stare that hit them so deeply in their soul to know that I had endured that, and they never knew.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So even with that, and I mean we're getting off subject a little bit, but I just feel like when it comes to just having that security and love, because when we think about how God loves us, when we think about his love, his infinite love, when we think about his love, how, God's love is, agape, it's without conditions. When somebody loves you without conditions, I think that it brings out a part of you that is whole, is healthy. I don't know. It's just something about having that agape love that just makes you feel aware about yourself that's not humanly possible on these earthly levels. I
Yeah.
just don't, because I don't know if we're capable of giving that, because
Hmm.
our love most of the time is going to come with conditions. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like we're going to always, you know, be conditioned on, well, if you don't like something that person is doing, sometimes it'll drive a person away from you,
Yeah.
or you'll leave that person because of something simple, and it makes no sense that we literally live life like that. Like I don't even want to say we love like that, because that's not love when you are putting all these stipulations on how you to love me. Now I'm not saying you need to let somebody just
Dog walk you or nothing.
dog walk you and just
Yeah.
walk all over you and treat you with no respect, because that's not love anyway. That's absolutely not love. but you will know love. And I think the quickest way to know love is to know Christ. When you know the love of when you know the love of Christ, then I feel like that right there. Because once I learned the love of Christ, nobody is able to come and fool me with that. With the mouthy love. Like you can't
Yeah.
just come tell me you love me. You got to show me.
Yeah.
I don't believe in you just saying you love me and then I'm just supposed to melt and believe it. There comes an action with that love.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to sacrifice, then that's not love, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I agree.
So I don't know if I answered the question or not, but
No,
that's
you
just kind of
did.
my
You
okay.
did. Well, for me, I feel like what would have changed for me growing up if you were more vocal about things that you were going through,
Hmm.
because I feel like I'm you 2.0.
Yeah.
So I feel like the way I handle and deal with stuff, I deal with it the kind of same ways that I witnessed.
And I've noticed.
So it's very, very hard for me to talk about. Well, let me stop because I'm told I was going to reframe my words.
Hmm.
It's challenging
Okay.
to sometimes speak what I'm going through because I watched you do it alone.
Mm.
So because I watched you do it alone, that's like a blueprint for me. So I'm like, well, that's how I know to do
Throw
it.
that blueprint away.
No, I am.
Throw that blueprint
I'm
in the
definitely trying
trash.
to 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 get rid of it because I know it's not right. And I
Hmm.
know you need people.
Yeah.
You need people. People don't know how to really be there for you or show up for you if you don't say nothing to them.
But here's the thing too, and that's a vast majority of people today.
Yeah.
You're not alone in that because a lot of people don't know how to show up and be there for other people.
Yeah, but I think a lot of times it's we not vocal about it
True.
either.
True.
Now I've been more vocal since my granny passed, but I do feel like I could even do even better with
Hmm.
when we're going through something. Not because you don't, for one, you don't know who people know.
Yeah.
You just don't know what somebody could offer you, even with just encouragement or, hey, I'm just coming to sit with you,
Yeah.
whatever. But I feel like because I watched you do it alone. Like I said,
Hmm.
I watched you cry one time in my life, and that's when Granny passed.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think I have to feel well, I'm unlearning that thinking that I have to like be strong when I'm around people and then I can fall apart when I'm by myself.
Hmm.
Because I feel like that's clearly what you had to
See, that's
do.
what I want to learn. I want to learn how to fall apart. I don't know
Me
how
too.
to.
But I
I
did though.
don't know how to fall apart. Like
I
I want to know how to fall apart. I don't know
I
how to do
did.
that.
You can ask every friend that was with me during my grieving period. You can
Hmm.
ask. I did. I fell apart every 5 minutes. Like I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't. I couldn't hide that. That was
Yeah.
nothing I could hide.
Yeah.
So I feel like that has helped me tremendously. Like feel like I've gotten so much better with you know
Mm.
feeling like I can't talk about stuff to people because I did it with Granny.
Mm.
But I will say that just watching you deal with life,
Mm.
even to this day, I
Mm.
still feel like that is something that you struggle
Oh, it is.
with just being vulnerable around us.
It
Like,
is. And you know what? And
cause I be
honestly,
wanting to talk about Granny, but I don't never be knowing
and
like
that's
where to
hard.
talk about because I
Yeah.
don't know.
And it's hard. And that, like.
I'm listening. I gotta get my coffee.
Oh, she's got coffee, y'all. But I don't know because like I cry, like
But you cry
especially
by yourself.
yeah, like when y'all were growing up, you don't know the ocean of tears that fell down in this
Would have
face.
never known because you seem like a still biggest matter of fact, you should have been called Superman because I thought you was made of
Girl,
steel.
listen, all them times when we would have to be in the dark because I couldn't afford to pay the light bill, or them times when that refrigerator was empty and I couldn't feed. I don't even think you understand the tears, the hurt, the pain that I felt in that struggle because those were some times where, and I feel like I didn't have nobody that I could call. That was the
Mm,
worst thing. I didn't feel like I had that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, thinking back even on my mom, she couldn't help me.
yeah.
She was even in a situation where she wasn't financially enough to help me in out of those type of situations. So I literally felt like there was nobody that I could call. And I have a vast, you know, number of family members that if I'm just thinking about it today, I could say, well, I could have called them, I could have called them, but I really don't know what the reaction would have been. And I think that's another thing that I feared rejection. I feared somebody telling me no. I hated that. Like I hated feeling like,
Never knew that
yeah,
about
if
you.
I call somebody and they tell me no, then that's just going to be another rejection,
Mhm.
So I would never. That's why I
So
would.
you assumed that everybody was just gonna
I
tell
feel
you no.
and I guess because I got told no so much to where yeah, I felt like they weren't going to do anything. So
Mhm.
I had already set it in my mind, that I was going to do it by myself, and that's
So that
why
was a belief you framed.
it was a belief that I framed because
Yeah.
I literally, and that's why I did so much on my own because I felt like I didn't have a choice but to do it on
Mhm.
my own, especially when your own kids' fathers are telling you no or
Mhm.
they ain't got it, and no shade to Tiana's dad because if it was for him, a lot of times
Well,
we
I remember him helping out the most.
oh
I
God, we
remember.
would have been in a world of trouble if he hadn't stepped up to the plate, not just for her, but for all of y'all. He made
Yeah.
sure he included all of y'all. And I would be eternally grateful to him for that because he didn't have to do a lot of things that he did do. And he did it without getting anything in return because that's just the type of man that he was. And so if it wasn't for him, I don't know, a lot of times how I would have crawled out of those holes. And I'm very, very grateful for him. But I got myself in a lot of debt. It was, things where I had to do things that to pay the light bill or do things to, keep a roof over our head, whatever. It was those sacrifices that caused so many tears
Mhm.
because I felt like I
Never
was
seen
failing.
one.
No, I felt like I was failing as a mother then, not understanding that I wasn't failing. I was just literally in a, a hole.
And you were trying. I mean,
I literally was trying.
I understand that you probably wasn't emotionally present,
Hmm.
but I'm still glad that you was there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at least you was there. Some people didn't have either.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times the reason why I wasn't even emotionally present is because it hurt to not be able to do.
Yeah.
So to be able
You
to,
weren't even emotionally present for yourself.
yeah, and
So
true. And that is very, very true. I did not know how to be emotionally present for myself. So to be emotionally present for y'all, it was I didn't have it to do. Like I didn't know how to do it.
yeah,
So I couldn't show up in that way for anybody
yeah,
because I couldn't even show up that way for me.
yeah.
And I
No, that
still hate
makes
that to
sense.
this day. Like I don't like it to this day that I still feel like I'm emotionally detached from things. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And that's what I'm saying. Like that is the whole purpose of trying to get things out so that I can work something better and just like I said, throw away those old blueprints and
Yeah.
and start from scratch.
Well, that's why I always talk about just talking about stuff because our family just don't talk enough.
Yeah.
Well, and I do feel like when Greenie was living though, we did have conversations, but
You
we never
started having
really.
conversations with
Yeah,
her. It was a time when I felt like she was open for the conversation. So,
yeah,
that right there, I think was the beginning of the change
yeah,
that was not just happening with her, but it was going to happen with the whole
yeah,
family.
yeah,
So I appreciate the fact that I think you going to school is what ignited this whole thing anyway, because I feel
yeah.
like had you never started school in psychology, I don't know if the conversations would have ever been had.
I don't think
I
so
think
either
we
because I used to be afraid, and then when I started reading stuff, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe this why my mama was like that, or maybe this
mhm,
why my granny was like that,
mhm.
or maybe this why my daddy was like that. And so then when I started talking to you about it, and I was asking you questions, and you was like, I don't know,
Yeah.
nobody never asked me that. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow. So then when I asked Granny, did she feel like not having her mama affected her? And she used to
Mhm.
always tell me no. And then one day, a year before she passed, she was like, it did affect her. And I
And
didn't even know how to take it
but she in her mind, she probably literally believed that did not affect her. But how do you lose your mom at 5?
and not think that
Go
it's going to affect
Hey,
you.
right. You lose your mom at 5. You lose your dad at 5, not because he died, but because he took you and dropped you off with your grandparents who weren't very, caring or loving to you then. So how does that affected her in a major way? I just don't think that she really understood
No,
the effect that it had on her life. But it had
no.
a major effect on my mom in so many ways. Just even thinking about her characteristics and thinking about how she was, as a person here now. I know that she hid and shielded a lot of her pain
Yeah,
from us
laughing
too.
and to
Yes.
laugh. She was so freaking silly. That
Hmm.
lady laughed at everything. Like,
Yes.
but I didn't realize that was really just a way for her to like
Hide your
not
pain.
show how she felt for
Yeah,
real.
because even the guy that killed himself, Robin, the Robin guy. I can't think what his.
Robin Williams
Yes, funny guy, laughed all the time, made people laugh. That was his whole life, history of just making people laugh
and struggling
and
internally.
struggling internally, and that is. most of us, we are struggling internally, but a smile on our face outwardly
Yeah.
and dying on the inside.
Yeah.
And I don't want, I my, my prayer is that nobody has to walk on earth like that.
Yeah.
Let your smile be genuine, because we don't have to hide behind pain. We literally can do something about the pain that we're feeling, but you have to work through it. And if you're
Yeah.
willing to work through it, you can definitely come out of it.
Yeah. No,
So,
I agree.
yeah.
All right. That was a little lot.
Okay. Hmm.
So what is one generational pattern you've noticed in our family?
One. Girl, child, it's not one, but
But give me one.
if I'm giving you one, I would say
Yeah.
the financial generational pattern in this family is what I remember from my childhood.
Mhm.
The scarcity,
Mhm.
you know, the barely making ends meet. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. That's one thing that I can say. Um, I've seen for a very now. Are we coming out of that? Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're breaking that. We're
Yes.
breaking those generational patterns. You know what I mean? By learning financial things. I was never taught anything financial.
Same.
Didn't know anything about finances. All I knew was that
Nothing about credit.
you rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yep.
That's how I grew up. You get into debt, and all these kind of things. You live above your means, not below your means. That's kind of like how we grew up, or how I grew up. But now we're learning and we're, immersing ourselves in knowledge about
Big
finances,
time. Big
listening to
time.
different, we're going to people who have the experience, who knows about finances.
Myron Golden. Check that man out. I'm telling you.
So we're listening to people who understand finances so that we can make some big and positive financial changes ourselves, because to me, I think that that's one thing I don't want passed on to my grandchildren. I don't want them to, have to go through this whole scarcity mindset, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul. I don't want that for them. I don't want that for myself, and I
Yeah.
definitely don't want that for them. So just coming out of that mindset, that generational pattern, to me, that one to me is the one that stands out the most. And like I said, there's only one,
Yeah.
but that's the one that I feel like stands out the most. It's just that financial, pattern.
Yeah. And I think mine would go back to the other stuff that we was just talking about is just the communication, just
Mm-hmm.
talking about stuff because I
Mm-hmm.
do feel like all of Granny's kids
Mm-hmm.
dealt with everything on their own. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
came together, nobody, and then not even realizing that unfortunately that like mental health is real
It's very real.
and
It's very
everybody
real.
was struggling with probably depression, anxiety, and not knowing what to do with it.
Yeah.
And that's when you start drinking it away, smoking it away, partying it away, whatever you can do to avoid because you don't even understand exactly what you're going through.
Yeah.
And I wish that we was able to talk more about like, hey mama, I'm feeling funny.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Being able to be comfortable about talking about that because I don't ever remember hearing like when you would sleep a lot. I didn't know
Mm.
that was depression.
Yeah.
I thought that you was just tired. I'm thinking,
No.
girl, what you tired from? Swimming? Like what is you tired from?
Oh my
But I
god.
didn't know that was you was depressed. I didn't freaking know that. Like
Yeah.
I wish that was something that we talked about more because we want, you want to get mad at somebody or judge the next person, but it's like, no, they dealing with anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
they dealing with depression
Mm-hmm.
and don't have anybody to talk to about it. So then
Yeah.
it's like, where do you go from there? Well, I'm gonna go and do all of the things that's not going to help me. It's actually hurting me. And I don't have nobody to talk to about it. So that's just what it is. And then I'm gonna stay away from the family, because I'm going through these things. I don't have nobody to talk to about it,
And that's sad.
It
That's
is
really
sad.
sad. You know, avoidance does not make it go away.
No, it doesn't.
um Addictions do not make it go away. It's going to be there after that. After you sober, it's going to be there after that high come down. Those same problems are still going to exist because you're not dealing with the root.
Yeah.
You're not getting to the root of the matter of what is causing you to do the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people are alcoholics or dealing with substance abuse and things like that, there is some mental stuff going on.
Yeah.
There is definitely some mental issues going on that they just can't deal with. And the mind is so Oh my gosh, how they say there's a thin line between love and hate. There is a thin line between sane and insane. Anything can make you crack because honestly, I should have been strung out. I should have been alcoholic. I should have been out here doing everything but the right thing, when it came to the things that I have endured in my life, even from being a single parent at 14, raising children, I didn't know what I was doing. And it's only by God's grace that I'm sitting here today and I can say I've never had an addiction but to one thing that was cigarettes. Now, and I'm so glad now because it was what 17, 18 years
Yeah.
since I've even
I
smoked a
don't know the
cigarette.
years, girl, but
It's
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 been long.
it's been wow. It's up there. So but I'm grateful that I never had an addiction to anything because I know that if I had been incoherent, I probably wouldn't have my kids today. Because a lot of times when you especially when you're dealing with unresolved issues in your life. If I had been a crackhead, I probably would have been the worst one. I'm so serious.
So, did y'all like this newest episode that y'all have been waiting for? I really hope y'all did, and I really hope that y'all were able to grasp and take hold onto the things that we discussed today. I was really excited to hear my mom's perspective and understanding her worldview of things and her understanding mine, and just really been able to accept it. Like other people's opinions is just that, it's an opinion of what they see in the world and what they feel about the world, and we have to like respect that. Even if it's wrong, even if it's not healthy, we still have to respect it. And so it's really nice to just be able to have these conversations because again, we've already been having these conversations, but deciding to put it on YouTube and be able to share it with the world because I feel like these kind of conversations are just needed. I say it all the time. But anywho, I really hope y'all enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for y'all to watch the episode next week.